So first, I want to say thank you guys here, Libertarian Party of Idaho, for having me out. Thank you for doing the business of your party. That's what is being done at these conventions. That's what I say to every time I go to a convention. Thank you for taking the time to come out and do the business of your party. My name is Chase Oliver. I do want to be our Libertarian candidate for president in 2024. It's because I believe our party has a golden opportunity. 60% of voters in a recent poll have said they are willing to vote for somebody who is not Donald Trump or Joe Biden if we give them something to vote for. So we can't merely be a protest vote. And so I'm somebody who has been a candidate in the past. I ran in 2022 for US Senate in Georgia. In doing so, with $20,000 and the feet beneath me, knocking on 3,000 doors, I earned over 80,000 votes and forced a runoff in what was the most expensive US Senate election in history. The Republicans and Democrats spent $250 million. I spent the cost of a used car, essentially, and upset their election. That tells me I can do a lot with very little. I know how to punch above my weight as a candidate, and that's exactly what our campaign is doing. First off, we have support in all 50 states. We have donors in all 50 states. We have volunteers in all 50 states, about 350 volunteers and growing each and every day. By the way, I encourage you, if you want to become a volunteer for this campaign, help us out around Idaho, go to votechaseoliver.com. You can sign up right there to do that. But my platform is rooted in a powerful positive message, because I think that's how we're going to get voters into the tent. The way I got brought into the tent was I was an anti-war voter. I tell people I'm anti-war to the core. If you need an anti-war candidate for president, you have found one in me. I oppose the war machine completely. But in 2003, 2004, I didn't know about the Libertarian Party. And because George W. Bush was a Republican, I was like, I guess I'm a Democrat. And that's where I rolled for a little while. I was a gun-loving Democrat. I was a tax-hating Democrat, but I was also an anti-war Democrat. And in 2008, we thought, hey, we elected our anti-war candidate. We didn't get Hillary Clinton, who was George Bush in a dress. We got Barack Obama. He was going to close Gitmo. He's going to stop the wars. He's going to talk to our enemies. And then he did none of that and got a Nobel Peace Prize. And that is what thrust me right outside the Democratic Party. I became so dissatisfied, I walked out. And I walked right into the tent. I was at the Atlanta Pride Festival, and there was the Libertarian Party of Georgia in 2010 and their candidate for governor. He saw me looking over at the tent trying to see what it said. And he literally waved me in the door. Come on over here, let me talk to you. And he started talking to me a little bit. I was like, oh, I'm kind of busy. And he goes, well, before you leave, tell me your most important thing, your most important political thing. And I bet it's pretty libertarian, or we can connect with you. And I said, I oppose the war on terror and the war in Iraq with every fiber of my being. And the next words out of his mouth were, welcome home. This is where you belong. Stay here in the tent. Let us talk to you about how your anti-war views can connect with the greater philosophy of liberty. And that started me on my journey to becoming a radical minarchist, away from a anti-war Democrat. And I know there are millions of Americans we could have that same journey with if we just allow them in the tent. If we found their one libertarian issue and we brought them in. Are you tired of seeing your tax money being used to fund bombs that kill babies overseas? Welcome home to liberty. Are you tired of our mess of an immigration system that creates human rights abuses at our borders instead of allowing people to come here to work hard and start their American dream? Welcome to liberty. Are you tired of eminent domain stealing your land to build a wall or build a pipeline through your land without your permission? Welcome to liberty. Whatever that issue is, are you wanting more control over your kids' education? Welcome home to liberty. Whatever that issue is, we need to bring them in the tent, say, welcome home, let's connect you with the greater philosophy of liberty. That is the way we're going to build our party up from the foundation level. We're going to build our party up from the foundation so we can tear the state down brick by brick. That's the kind of campaign I want to run in 2024. One that inspires people to get activated in their local communities. And I'll be frank with you, as a presidential candidate, we always get, you're never going to win. I understand that being elected president as a libertarian in 2024 is a very steep uphill climb. I'm willing to try it as much as I can. I will be fighting every single day to get elected. But short of being elected, there's a lot of victories we can win as a party. And I want to look and embrace those victories. How many states can we win major party status? So it's easier for us to get that media attention. We get the primary access, all that extra media attention. How many states can we win or secure ballot access so we don't have to gather signatures to get people on the ballot? How many winnable, electable libertarians can we find all over the country and push them over the finish line with that presidential campaign, attention, fundraising? How many can we help win? And then the biggest thing, the biggest metric of victory for me, and this is one thing that will separate me from every of the other candidates, I'm committing myself to 4 years of doing this. I want to double our party's membership, which is what every presidential campaign does pretty much every 4 years. But I'm committed to holding that list, to making sure those people are connected, that they don't feel left behind after the campaign's done. Well, I voted for Chase, but what else am I going to do? No, I'm going to make sure that every single person who clicks, hey, I'm interested in Chase, or I'm going to vote for Chase, or I'm donating to Chase. I want to make sure that they're connected to their state party and to their local party. And so I'm decentralizing our information. And 4 years ago, Joe Jorgensen gave her information to national and expected that to trickle down. It didn't in a lot of states. So my campaign will be giving all 50 states and DC direct info every month. You're going to get that voter info in real time so you can connect with those voters. And after November, I will then be making sure that I connect with those voters. If they live in a place that doesn't have an affiliate, I will help them get started to make an affiliate. That is my commitment to this party, because I want to build this party up so we can start winning and tearing the state down, because I am tired of seeing people say, we can't win. I just outlined ways we can win with a great presidential campaign, and ways that we can win in the future as we build this party up. That's what I'm committed to doing, and I hope that's what each and every person in this room is committed to doing for the Libertarian Party. Don't we want to see ourselves grow? How many of you in this room have ever felt burnt out doing work with the Libertarian Party? Raise your hand. I know pretty much every state committee member better say they're being burnt out sometimes. Well, imagine what we could do if we had twice as many members, twice as many door knockers and activists and donors, and people who could sit on a state committee and help take some of this pressure off of y'all, so that you're not having to feel like you're burnt out all the time. That's the kind of party we can build up in 2024 if we are active, engaged, and ready to get out there. I have traveled to 44 states so far. Wyoming in a couple of days will make state number 45. I'll travel to all 50 by the time of our convention. That's something no Libertarian candidate for president has ever done. Travel to all 50 states and campaign. I'm doing it before we even have a nominee. That's the kind of energy I'm going to put in this campaign, because we are a 50-state party. We deserve to be recognized as such, and we should be challenging the state in each and every community across the country. If you want to help me do this, you can join the campaign by going to votechaseoliver.com, signing up to be a volunteer or a donor. We would love your support, and I welcome your support if you become a delegate in Washington, D.C. for our presidential nomination. Thank you very much. Yeah, I got a few minutes left, so if you want to ask a question, feel free.
So you said minarchists?
Yes.
So we know every minimum government becomes a maximum government. Why would you not emphasize decentralization, get it down to the smallest?
So I do. I support decentralization, localization at every level. I think there's so many areas where we can tear down the federal government. Education is the perfect example. Remove completely the federal Department of Education, any federal touching of education, remove that back to the states and localities, and ultimately to individual people to determine those choices. I'm a minarchist because I do believe in three things: a military to protect us from invasion, law enforcement and courts to adjudicate disputes, and that same law enforcement to protect the civil liberties of people when they're being violated directly through violence. So those are three bare minimum things that I think the government should be able to do. Do I think we're going to get to that ideal even if I served in office for 8 years? No. And to those who are anarchists, I am your partner in this. We will reduce the state together until we get to a point where I'm like, hey, this is that minimal state. And they'll say, we're going to keep fighting for less. And at that point, in that distant future, because it's going to take a lot to tear the state down to that level, we can have that argument then. But in the meantime, as a minarchist, I welcome anarchists to my campaign. I welcome anarchists in the party. And I believe we need to be a united force to tear down the state together. But as a minarchist, I do have those minimal state beliefs. And I think we need to do everything we can to keep it to that minimal level. But I understand your point. Yes, sir.
Do you distinguish between civil liberties and natural rights?
I believe rights are inherent. Things like, and those are your civil liberties, things like your right to free speech, free expression, freedom to faith, freedom to live your life in peace. If you're not committing force, fraud, coercion, theft, or violence, your life is your life, your body is your body, your business is your business, and your property is your property, not the government's. And that's an inherent right that all of us enjoy. It's only when we add government controls and authority that those rights are stripped away from us.
Great.
Yes, sir.
If an adult administers hormones or surgery to a child to change the child's body to more closely resemble the gender of the child's choosing, is that a violation of the non-aggression principle and therefore a criminal act in the libertarian sense?
So let's separate those things out. First off, surgery should be over the age of 18. I believe any kind of body modification surgery should be. I believe that whether it's for gender affirming care, a nose job because you don't like the way your nose looks. Frankly, I believe circumcision should be outlawed for anybody who's not using it as a religious exemption, because there is that faith-based exemption there. So I, across the board, don't support body modification for people under the age of 18. In other regards to trans healthcare, I do believe that's best left to a parent, a doctor, and the patient, as opposed to government bureaucrats. Now, when we look at the numbers, there's 74 million young people in this country. 300,000 of them have expressed any kind of gender dysphoria. Of that 300,000, only 4,000 have gotten any kind of hormones or puberty blockers or anything like that. So we're looking at a fraction of a fraction of a fraction. And in those small number of cases, I am more apt to trust a parent who has unconditional love for their kid, because ultimately parents have unconditional love. They want to see their kids survive, thrive, and succeed. Bureaucrats do not have that same unconditional love. And so barring cases of abuse, neglect, or Munchausen by proxy, I think those decisions are best left to parents, doctors, and patients.
Isn't it all Munchausen by proxy? It's mental illness.
I don't believe so. I've met trans kids, trans parents. I have trans friends.
You just dodged this question.
No, I don't believe that it's a violation. I believe that that's a decision to be made by a parent and a doctor. As far as transgender rights, I know trans people. I've known trans people my entire life. I had trans friends when I was in high school at 16. They were trans then. They existed then. I've talked to their families. I understand their concerns. And ultimately, I believe you have self-ownership, and a parent's supposed to be an advocate for you. And that's the role of a parent, is to be the advocate for you as a young person.
So
in that
what
room.
differentiates between chemically altering a child and?
We're out of time. We're out of time. Let's just,
Yeah.
there's plenty of time. Chase, are you going to be around?
Yeah, I'm going to be around for a little while. I do have to
Okay.
leave at around like 12:30 to make my flight today. But I'm happy to answer, and I have answered those questions more in depth in previous debates too. Like last week in New York, and then in Pennsylvania, I also answered that same question. So if you guys need a little bit more in depth there, feel free to check out those debates. But thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.